So welcome to another video in our channel. In our video today, we are going to look at what is the problem at Chelsea. Chelsea are finding themselves 12th, having lost 3 out of their last 5 games, and these defeats have been nothing short of a disaster. We're going to understand from the tactical point of view what is affecting Chelsea. A team that was renowned for its sound defensive record as well as its lethargic attack has now a poor defense and a poor attack. Since Chelsea cannot score goals to win games, and neither can they defend the few goals that they score, this is leaving the club in a very tricky situation. So Mauricio Pochettino is looking like he is under a lot of pressure to get the team back on track, since the team is currently having 19 points after 16 games. A very poor start in the season. So can Mauricio Pochettino salvage Chelsea's season this season, especially the first leg? Now, before we begin our analysis, I want to remind you of our channel Talk Football TY. The link of the channel is in the description area below. And to showcase the great analysis that we've done in this channel, I have attached a link on why I think Aston Villas are genuine title contenders this season. So do not forget to go to the description area below, click the link and subscribe to the channel, since we'll be dropping more tactical analysis on other teams. So kindly enjoy this match analysis and thanks. See how these teams went toe to toe with each other. So Newcastle lined up in a 4-3-3 formation while Chelsea lined up in a 4-2-3-1 system. So Newcastle really tried to force Chelsea to play down the right where they would engage in a touchline press. We know that Chelsea like to build through the right hand side. This is aided by the position of Cole Palmer during build-up, but Livramento was so key in stopping Palmer in these wide areas. So we saw Chelsea adapting how they build from the back. This is how Chelsea were building from the back. In the first 10 to 15 minutes, Chelsea were quite good. So Newcastle were pressing with only Isak, while they formed a narrow midfield four to prevent Chelsea from progressing to Newcastle's midfield third. Cole Palmer became so instrumental during this first 10 to 15 minutes, because Reece James will push high up, drag Gordon out of position and create spaces in midfield where Palmer would receive the ball and immediately progress with the ball forward. Once Palmer received the ball, his main aim was to play in Conor Gallagher, who was operating in between the lines, so that Gallagher can receive the ball and attempt to play passes forward to Raheem Sterling and Nicholas Jackson. So during these phases of play, Chelsea looked quite dangerous how they were effectively beating Newcastle's press, and in the first 10 to 15 minutes, Chelsea looked like the team that was going to win this game resoundingly. So what went wrong? So Newcastle were pressing with their default 4-1-4-1 system, and the main aim was to prevent Chelsea's midfield progression. So in some instances, Livramento would move from his left back position to come and try to pick up Cole Palmer, who tried to advance with the ball, and in some instances he would be so lucky to win the ball off Palmer and immediately launch quick counterattacks by Newcastle. But Newcastle were not able to capitalize on these chances. So we look also at another way in which Chelsea managed to beat Newcastle. Livramento could not manage to be dropping deep most of the time, and now we started to see Gordon tuck in to try and cover Cole Palmer, who tried to create overloads in Chelsea's midfield, allowing Reece James to receive the ball, and this is what would trigger Livramento to push forward and press Reece James. In some instances, Reece James would beat Livramento and Chelsea would find themselves in a position of transition. This created a lot of strength for Chelsea, since now they will be able to have numerical advantage against Newcastle's defense line. but Newcastle were quick to come back and prevent Chelsea from progressing with the ball forward. So let's look at Newcastle in possession and what they did, because what Newcastle did in possession is what caused Chelsea a lot of problems. We know that Chelsea like to press in a 4-2-3-1 mid-block, trying to prevent central progression. And this is what made Newcastle to now attempt to play around Chelsea rather than playing through them. And this was aided by creating these wide overloads. The overloads were being created with wide wingers and midfielders who would push on into the half space and create a lot of problems for Chelsea. The midfielders will be making these runs in the half space, trying to create 2v1s against Chelsea's fullbacks. So, this was creating a lot of problem for Chelsea, and in some instances, Enzo Fernandez will be the one who will drop deep to try and cover the run of the fullback. Livramento will invert so that he can tie up Palmer, so that this might allow Newcastle to create these extremely wide overloads, especially with the use of Kieran Trippier, who will overlap once Almiron will attempt to dribble past Marc Cucurella. Newcastle were attempting to play these far post balls. The far post balls were to play for the deep runs of Joel Linton, who will be moving towards the far post to try to head the ball in goal. As I said, teams have realized that Chelsea are quite weak in quick switches of play, and therefore teams tend to try to overload Chelsea's fullbacks in the far post. We saw that with the Trossard against Arsenal. We also saw that with Haaland against Cucurella at Manchester City. This is because Cole Palmer does not track back quite often, and Pochettino likes his wingers to stay high up so that they can be quick to receive the ball in the counter and attempt to score goals through transitions. But this is a problem for Chelsea. Kinds of problems are very grave. The first one is attacking mainly through the right channel. From this clip, you can see that Chelsea prefer attacking down the right. And this is giving them an imbalanced attacking system, since now opponents need just to swarm the right hand side of Chelsea, and this effectively denies Chelsea the opportunity to create chances. From this clip here, you can see Sterling, Gusto and Gallagher, who's now making the run in the space vacated by Sterling. You can clearly see how opponents have already shifted down the right hand side, and Chelsea are overloading this position. Opponents know that Chelsea will not attack down this side, and therefore will try to limit Chelsea down that right side. In the left hand side, the problem is Enzo Fernandez. Enzo Fernandez seems like he is not playing quite well as an advanced forward down the left hand channel, and this is why. So from this clip here, you can see how Chelsea want to form their front five, with either Gallagher pushing up with Sterling keeping the width, but Enzo Fernandez is tasked to be the one occupying the left half space channel to free up spaces for the left winger to be free to receive the ball in space. But the left winger is always occupied and is always man-marked by the fullback because of Enzo Fernandez. Enzo Fernandez, rather than sticking to his position up the pitch, most of the time he likes to drop deep, vacate his position to receive the ball in these deep regions. And this is why I say that Enzo Fernandez needs to be starting as the second pivot, because he likes to get on the ball most of the times, and therefore when you leave him in this position, he vacates his forward position, isolating his left back 1v1 or 1v2. And this is indicated by the start, since you can clearly see that only Chelsea attack down the left hand channel 29% of the time, the lowest compared to Manchester City, who attack it close to 34% of the time. Looking also at the shot conversion zones, Chelsea are only attempting shots in the 6-yard space at 11%, outside at 58%, and outside the 18-yard box at 31%. And this is indicated by this clip whereby Sterling attempts to make a cross, but nobody is making runs. Yet the 6-yard space is the best place to score goals. Their conversion rate is also quite poor, indicating Chelsea's lack of clinical edge in front of goal. You can see here they attempt long-range shots which are not powerful, that either end up hitting the bar, and also you can see how they are not quite clinical in taking shots when they are supposed to, also indicating one of the teething problems that Chelsea has. Today in our analysis, we are going to look at what is Chelsea's set piece problem. We're going to understand why Chelsea struggle from set pieces. And that is going to be our topic of discussion today. So in the tactical board, you can see how Chelsea organizes itself with set pieces: 2 center backs, a striker defending the near post. We have 3 markers, right back defending just high ahead, 1 midfielder trying to prevent a short corner, and 2 players in the ready for the counter attack. But the problem with Chelsea is that the far post area is usually vacated. Now, teams have known that one player blocks the goalkeeper and prevents him from coming out to claim the cross, and elite set piece takers try to aim the ball at Chelsea's far post, where runners run from deep and come and have an easy tap in down the far post. And this is a problem that Chelsea have faced, not only in set pieces such as corners, but also in set pieces such as free kicks. We've seen teams such as Newcastle and Brentford aim for the far post area where Marc Cucurella is supposed to be marking, where they aim to whip in crosses in those far areas and have runners from deep to launch forward into this space vacated into this far post space. So you'll find a runner positioning himself out of the line and making these far runs from deep where he can receive the ball and head it towards goal. And I'm going to show you how this has happened at Chelsea through the various clips I'm going to show you. So Anthony Barry had come up with a solution to help Chelsea in these problems, but we're going to analyze that solution in the next video. However, I want you to see how teams have been exploiting this. So the first clip here you see is Brentford, and Brentford are having those long throw-ins that they normally have. Chelsea's back four is so wide, and you can see Cucurella has been overloaded rather than Sterling, who should come deep and try to help Cucurella. So Gallagher is late in tracking Mbeumo, who is making an easily free run at the half space, and you can see the distance between Mbeumo and Thiago Silva. So Gallagher is slow to cover this space in between Cucurella and the fullback, and Mbeumo whips in an excellent cross in the box. Now here you can see that Reece James is now being overloaded with 2 players, since Thiago Silva is shifting to try to cross this place, and here you can see a simple cutback, and Brentford actually should have scored this goal, but Robert Sanchez managed to defend this goal quite easily. Here again, Brentford have identified Chelsea's set-piece weakness in the far post and are going for the long throw. You can see how Chelsea's far post has been overloaded. So they go for a short throw. Mbeumo comes in. You can see Raheem Sterling is ball watching. Cucurella wants to go after the ball. So Cucurella is dragged out for the ball. The pass is played towards the half space, and now the center back has to come across to try to shift. Now Mbeumo has time and space to make a cross in the far post. Now Brentford's defenders moves from out to in, goes towards the far post and scores an easy tap-in against Chelsea, and Brentford go 1-0 up. So the main aim of teams is that they have realized that their main aim is to overload Chelsea's wide areas, especially during set pieces, looking for the far post area because they believe that the far post area is not quite guarded by Chelsea. Now I want to show you another clip from another game. Now this is the aerial view. You can see how Chelsea's back four is spread across. Now you can see very well that Cucurella is now going to have to come out and try to prevent the cross. Gallagher has been held back, and Raheem Sterling, who was supposed to be tracking back, has not tracked back. So Mbeumo is attacking this half space area, and Conor Gallagher now has to leave his player to try and come and cover this position. Bueno is quick enough from Conor Gallagher, and you can look at the far post area and you can see that Reece James is being overloaded with 3 players. Thiago Silva and Disasi are marking no players, and Brentford are attacking Chelsea's far post. So the cross comes in, and Brentford already have an overload in the far post area, and now they have a tall, strong centre back who can head the ball in goal, and Brentford score easily. So the set piece area that Chelsea have been struggling with is defending the far post, and this is something that even Newcastle exploited. Let's see also from this clip again, and you can see that Disasi was having his marker, but Reece James was being overloaded with 2 players, and of course Cole Palmer cannot cover such a tall, strong centre back. Here again, we have Newcastle. You can see Kieran Trippier is trying to make that overlapping run. So look at Joel Linton. Joel Linton together with Gordon are trying to move to try and overload Reece James. Here, Newcastle are taking a short free kick. You can see how they have overloaded Cucurella in the far post with 2 players. So now Cucurella at this position cannot see who is preventing from scoring the goal. But now Cucurella cannot fight against these 2 centre backs, and Newcastle easily score the second goal. So this is the problem that Chelsea have been facing during set pieces. Teams are trying to isolate Chelsea's fullbacks in a 2v1 situation with aerially dominant centre backs. Here again is the game against Tottenham. You can see Chelsea are trying to to defend a set piece from Tottenham. Look at the position of Eric Dier. Eric Dier is starting quite deeper and is starting quite wide. So the ball is being played. So once the ball has been crossed, is that because Dier moved quite quickly enough. But this is the tactic that teams have been employing. So Dier is trying to make that far post run. Chelsea's centre-backs fail to win their 1v1 duel, and the ball falls to Eric Dier. Look at the space that Eric Dier is having in the far post area. Eric Dier receives the ball and immediately scores the ball at the top corner of Chelsea's net. Luckily for Chelsea, this was deemed offside, or else they would have easily dropped all 2 points against Tottenham, against 9-men Tottenham, and Eric Dier scores the goal. But Chelsea were lucky because it was offside. So the clear pattern here is that teams are trying to overload Chelsea's back post. Look at the Manchester City goal, the second goal Manchester City scored. So you can clearly see that Chelsea are confused. We have 2 players in the near post who are clueless on who they are marking. The centre backs on this other side are trying to play the offside trap, but you can see that one player is playing a kanji onside. So this gap in between, that 2 players are ball watching, and none of them has left their marker. So Conor Gallagher is trying to go now to try to stop the cross, and you can see that Akanji is just free. Nobody is marking Akanji. Erling Haaland is being played on side and is in the near post, and nobody is picking up Erling Haaland. And in this case, Marc Cucurella and Disasi play Akanji on side, and Akanji has a free header on goal because the players were ball watching, and Manchester City score. Here is the game against West Ham, and I want to show you again how Chelsea are doing. You can see the position of West Ham centre back. He's starting so deep. So Chelsea are being overloaded here with the player standing off Sanchez. So the centre back makes this far post run, a whipped cross from James Ward-Prowse, and the centre back has time and space to head the goal in the near post. So Chelsea have been confused, and West Ham score, and they immediately go 1-0 up. So this is the problem that Chelsea have been facing. Their goalkeeper is being blocked. The centre backs are being occupied by players who cannot head the ball, while aerially dominant players make those runs from deep to go and attack the far post area. And Chelsea this season are really susceptible to concede goals from this tricky situation.